Joyce Riley, and the subject is going to be the purpose of chemtrail aerosol. A.C. Griffith was associated with the National Security Agency. He carried a top-secret clearance, a cryptographic clearance, and in more recent times he was associated with the Central Intelligence Agency operations. He was married to a lady lawyer, judge, and his father-in-law was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Virginia. He is with us today, and we want to say thank you very much, A.C. Griffith, for joining us to talk about the purpose of chemtrail aerosol. Thank you, sir, for joining us on the Power Hour today.
Thank you, Joyce. It's indeed a pleasure to be with you today.
Well, I must tell you, I think the listeners are going to get more today than they probably imagined, given the fact that you have some information that most people do not have access to, and probably information we would just as soon not know. However, knowledge is power, and we thank you for joining us, and I know that you have listened to the Power Hour in the past and have been very supportive of the activities and providing information to the Power Hour. Let's talk just as much as you want to talk about what your past experience was all about, sir.
I spent a couple days making talking points to make a guide map of how to present this to you. It is such a big topic. It's very difficult to know where to grab it to begin. Several years ago, I got a telephone call from Mike Blair at the Spotlight newspaper in Washington, now called the American Free Press. He asked me to help work with him on the story of the white trails coming out of the airplanes. And time is going by. I guess that was 8 or 9 years ago. We actually got inside the program. We're the only people in the world that actually got inside of that program.
When you say you got inside that program,
the aerosol program, the chemtrail program,
you're talking about information on the inside of this program.
I'm talking about actually getting inside the program at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base where it's being managed.
Wow.
And we actually got into some of the people that were dissatisfied from within the program, and they divulged a lot of the acronyms and the purpose of the program and so on. And that's the only way that anybody could ever have broken the secrecy of this program.
Okay.
We know that people have died over this program. People have been hit to keep them quiet. And we know that other things have happened to keep people in this program. One of the key people that designed the aerosol, the barium salt aerosol, was set up by people in the Reagan administration, and he's now sitting in federal penitentiary. They still go to him to ask him questions, but yet he is in the prison. That is a little unnerving, isn't it?
Yes, it is, absolutely.
That the man that designed the barium salt aerosol is sitting in a prison.
Well, it would sort of make sense. Now, before we go any further, let's just define what you believe to be the aerosol crime issue. I mean, just what is this aerosol that we're discussing? I mean, it comes out of aircraft, we believe, or we know, and that is the basis of a program that is set up to not do good to this country, but probably do harm. Now, I remember we had a couple of people on the program recently. You contacted me after that, and you said, Joyce, some of the information was accurate, some of it was inaccurate. But what we do know is there's something in the skies that should not be there.
The white trails are not coming out of the engines. It's coming out of aerosol units on the aircraft. In the very beginning, the early days, the aircraft were flying relatively low, 10,000 feet or below, and they were developing the program. They were mostly contract aircraft, mostly CIA aircraft. Now the program has been expanded, and commercial airliners have been outfitted with aerosol units that are controlled through computer systems and satellites to dispense a barium salt mixture. It's a mixture of barium salt, not coming out of the engine. It's coming out of aerosols. And we have checked on information. We do confirm that the name of the project is Project Cloverleaf in the aircraft industry. It is very secretive. It is the most secretive thing I have ever encountered. People have died over this, talking about it. I listened to your broadcast just a few minutes ago. The general was on saying that he is very patriotic and he feels compelled to speak out, and that's exactly the same way I feel. I am very patriotic. I was born before the Second World War. I'm an old guy, and I come from that generation and that mindset. This is my country, and I see my country being dissolved. My country is being destroyed right in front of my eyes, and the people are being hurt, and that's why I consented to be on your radio program today. I know you will remember that you've asked me many times to do this, and I've been very reluctant, but it's time. It's time to speak out and go public with these things.
Well, that is correct. I have asked AC to be on this program many, many times, and you do this, I think, with a considerable amount of risk to your own life, do you not?
Yes, that's right.
So there are people who have lost their lives, people who are now in prison as a result of divulging this information. Now, you were, as you say, very patriotic. You still are very patriotic, and you were doing this out of patriotism, out of love for your country.
As I know you are.
That's correct. That's correct.
You know, Joyce, I'm in Richmond, Virginia, just a few miles from the spot that Patrick Henry stood in 1775. He was talking to Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, George Wythe, and others in St. John's Church. And they were talking about the oppression coming from England at the time. And he was a little put out at them for not deciding a course. And he concluded his speech to them with, "I know not what course others may choose, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." And I think we're approaching a time like that. Mm-hmm. Don't you?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question in my mind. I talked with you about a discussion I had with a military member who admitted to me, well, first of all, he did not believe that there was such a program. However, he was stationed at one of the bases where I knew some of the operations were taking place on this aerosol clouding or aerosol dispersion or whatever you want to call it. And I had him go to the person who we knew was in charge at that base at that time. And he did, in fact, confirm that the person that admitted to some of the information that we're about to talk about here, or that some of the information regarding this program. And he was so disillusioned when I talked with this military officer. He said, "I am leaving the military, Joyce. I did not believe you when you told me about Gulf War illness." And then he said, "I became ill. Then I found out the doxycycline was true. And then now I have found out about this spraying issue." And he said, "I can no longer serve the military." Well, let's talk about this subject of what the aerosol program is and how you were able to obtain this information.
First, Joyce, if you will allow me, let me paint a picture, a time picture. At first, you may think it's not related, but you will see that it is related. So if you will indulge me just a minute, let me go back to the Kennedy assassination. Do you remember Jim Garrison in New Orleans, the DA down there, fingered 27 people as being part of the plot to kill the president? Mm-hmm. Carlos Marcello was the major drug dealer in New Orleans, and his people were involved. Now, one of the people associated was a man named Barry Seals. He was a drug dealer and later a CIA operative. The FBI report on Carlos Marcello, the big drug dealer and underworld character, the FBI report said he made his money selling tomatoes and real estate. Now, that was the FBI evaluation of the #1 drug dealer. Now, remember Barry Seals. Now, fast forward to the Watergate break-in in 1972. Now, I was at the Watergate. The CIA had a rather large international operation there under a corporate name. Then they had other foundations under that and so on. By the way, did you know the Catholic Church built the Watergate complex as a real estate investment?